Hello, everyone. This is Ernie Humphrey, the CEO of Treasury Webinars. Thank you for taking the time to join me for one of our general sessions today, taking ownership of your career, brand, network, technology, and leadership. So this morning, we've really focused on building your brand. Subset of that is your network. So now we're going to add the dimensions of technology and leadership. And then later on this afternoon, we're going to talk about the art of interviewing. Then we are going to do a review of the 2022 Global Treasury Salary Survey from our friends, the Treasury Recruitment Company. And then we're going to finish things up with achieving success, discovering your passion, and doing what you love. So again, apologize for any technical glitches. This is a new platform. Again, happy St. Patrick's Day. And let's go ahead and dive in here. We've got a lot of content to get to. If you want to copy the presentation, please just let me know afterwards. And so what are we going to talk about today? We're going to have a lot, fast and furious, as always. So we're going to talk about your career dimensions. I don't think people really give you enough information on that. Then we're going to go over some things that we went over this morning. So if you listen to the session this morning, you're going to have to deal with it. Just kidding. But these things are always important. So what I've been trying to do is build up the content over the day. So if there's some repetition in there, then so be it. It's really to get these things key top of mind to you, so you can probably tell me what I'm going to say next. And that's a good thing because that's resonating with you. And then we'll talk about leadership, what being a good leader looks like, and tools to help you manage the dynamics of your team. And then we'll talk about the value of right-sizing technology, because that definitely impacts your career success. And then we'll give you a preview of our Dr. Phil session, which is the success mindset. So your career dimensions. So really what you need to succeed, you need a strong professional brand. We talked about that this morning. We'll talk about that a little bit here as well. You need a skill set for today and tomorrow's opportunities. And so what we saw from an earlier session was that tomorrow's opportunity, especially as you go up the corporate ladder, are going to be more about soft skills and collaboration and problem solving and enabling business agility. So a little bit different than maybe what we saw even 10 or 15 years ago. Those technical skills are still important, but those leadership and soft skills are more important than ever. And then we're going to talk about how to develop an engaged network with your colleagues within and beyond Treasury, banks, service, technology providers, and fellow Treasury professionals. And then we'll talk about the right mindset, which I love this quote, success is rented, you need to pay the rent every day. So that's really what you need to succeed. Owning your career means owning your success every day, and you got to pay the rent every day. So let's just start at a top level. I love this graphic. I'm still working on it. I'm not a graphic design person, as you can well see, but this really puts all the pieces together. And probably after this conference is over, you take a look at this and just think about it, right? And maybe do a matrix. Okay, my brand, right? Where am I at? Where do I want to be? How do I get there? My passion, am I doing what really matters? How do I do that? Right? My leadership, what are things I need to work on? How do I do a better job of empowering my team? My network, right? Do I have gaps online or at work or beyond work? And what about technology? Am I really vested in not only impacting the technology within my department Treasury, but what about across the office of the CFO? So again, a lot going on here, a lot to pay attention to. So your brand, right? Online and at work, right? So you have to do that as well. Passion, you want to talk about what matters, right? You want to make sure you have no Monday blues. Leadership is all about care, being engaged, getting your people engaged and empowering for success. You need to network. You have to go online and at work, and then beyond work, and then technology. Really what you're looking for, you want to mitigate time wasted, right? Empower best practices and facilitate growth. So what about your professional brand? Those of you who have not seen this before, hopefully it's new to you. Those of you that have seen this a little earlier today, it'll resonate even more with you. So what's the right mindset for that brand? Which again, I talked about this morning. The brand is more about your online brand. People don't really think about their brand at work, right? The brand with your colleagues. And I see one of my colleagues is on with us here, one of my thought leadership partners, Craig Jeffrey. So I really appreciate his brand, right, with mine. So know what I know, right? Appreciate what I don't know. So I learn a lot of things from Craig, and I always send people to Strategic Treasurer. You got to invest in knowing your colleagues. And so, for example, Craig and I have got to know each other over the past few years, letting him get to know me, right? In my brand, I try and communicate what I know, and believe it or not, I don't think I know everything. I do communicate what I need to know, and I actively collaborate. So for folks such as Craig, I'm always trying to find opportunities to work with companies and organizations to support the treasury profession, always trying to see how I might be able to help. Of course, there are a lot of ways that Craig can help me, and he's really generous with that. So that's how you really build your brand. So don't be afraid to toot your own horn. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Invest in getting to know people, really making those personal connections. It helps so much, whatever that might be. Direct connection, you share interests, maybe your children share interests, maybe your wife share interests, maybe you went to the same college, but that really helps you build the strength of your connections within your brand. So the foundation of that brand, we've done sessions on all these: your resume, your professional value proposition, your skill set, your LinkedIn profile, and your network. So all of these pieces need to be strong. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So your resume, we had a great session from Mike Richards on that. I gave a session on your professional value proposition. It's all about what good things do people have to say about you. For me, probably not a lot. So your bosses, what would they say about you? The people that worked with you, right, across the departments, what do they have to say about you? Your direct reports, what do they have to say about you? What about if you're a treasury leader? What about your banks, your fintech partners? For me, us consultants, what do my customers have to say about it? For me, what do my webinar attendees have to say about me? And then I try and find things, all things in there, right? They come together and they help me form that value proposition. We talked about your skill set. We introduced a tool for you, the Treasury Skills Wheel that Mike Richards and his team built. We talked a lot about your LinkedIn profile. This is incredibly important. This is a pillar of your online brand. I showed you earlier. Google search, put your name in there. If you're on LinkedIn, it's going to come up no matter what kind of quotes you put around it. And then your network really empowers you. Building that network and investing in your network really pays back dividends. It's like the 401k plan. And so your brand, again, just another way to look at it. I like these little graphics. Component, you have to have a strong value proposition. Your elevator pitch, you have to have a strong resume, LinkedIn profile, network, and skill set. And in the middle of that is your brand, and your brand is incredibly important to your career success. You need to invest in your brand. And a lot of times, once you invest in your brand, you make that initial investment. The returns to investing are really organic. And once your brand is strong, you will start to get more opportunities internally. You will find that folks are more actively engaged with you. You'll have more conversations. People will ask you for help. People will be honest with you. Maybe there's something going on that can impact you. So honesty and authenticity helps. Your value proposition, again, I've talked about this several times. What good things your current or previous bosses say about you, right? What about your current and previous colleagues? What about people you work for you, and then your connections? If you're fortunate, again, you have those in your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have recommendations in your LinkedIn profile from all these dimensions, I strongly recommend that you have that. And then we also talked about on your LinkedIn profile, make sure you turn on and off certain areas so your recommendations get some sort of, try and get those above the fold. For some reason, LinkedIn has really gone away from the recommendations, and that's incredibly important. A good recommendation are really powerful, especially if you have all these dimensions. It's gonna blow people's doors off and set you apart. So let's do some skim here. Crafting your strong resume. We've talked about this a few times. You got to watch your length, your summary paragraph, your employment history. Don't make it too long. Achievements. It's more about how as well as why. And you have to put some numbers there, because that's like your rainmaker stuff. Your qualifications, relevant in chronological order, and let's make sure that we are highlighting systems that are relevant to the job. So I don't know, I guess you got to put Microsoft Office, but I think everyone probably has that. Word and Excel. Specifically, I would look for ERP systems, maybe languages, your email marketing system, treasury management systems, and then you don't really need to put references available upon request. People are going to be asking you for those. So I think everybody knows that. What are you going to say? Someone says, you have reference, you're going to say no. Well, guess what? You're probably not going to get that job. And so for your resume, we just did an earlier session. I was glad to see about 40% of the people on the session had updated their resume in the last 3 months, which is awesome. So you should be doing that no matter how where you are in the org chart. So the good thing about that is, and I had this happen to me about a year and a half ago. I didn't have my resume done, so I had a great job opportunity that came out of nowhere. So guess what? I had to go back, work on my resume. Did I want to do that? No, I would have rather had a root canal. But now I have my resume ready to go in case someone wants to see it, if there's something that I want to consider, even if I'm not actively looking. Again, happy to share the slides with you just to show you. This is an example from Treasury Recruitment Company. It just meant to show you it's crisp. There's a few bullet points. There's not 100 bullet points after each position. So all of the things that we just talked about are conveyed there. And then I like the innovative resume. This could go as an attachment, but this will probably go to someone that might know me a little bit. This would go to me for a more senior level position because it really tells how I do it and why I do it. So for this, I like some people go on and off photo. For this one, I like the photo. Shows my brand, my motto, do everything with personality. I got my LinkedIn profile. That's my online brand. My experience that matters, right? What have I done? What am I trying to do, right? Treasury webinars, 360 thought leadership, performative. To me, that shows that I have success in impacting the career success of people in the office of the CFO. And then my philosophy, right? I'm not afraid to fail, and I enjoy the journey from last to first. Learning is my way of life. Now that's pretty cool. If I saw that, I'd be impressed. I know my mom is. And then what's you're most proud of, right? What's your rainmaker proof? So what have I done? Grew the performative community, grew sponsorship revenue, became an integral force of building the largest online community, became a trusted resource for the office of the CFO, doing all these webinars. What are my attributes, right? What are things that make me tick? Qualities that my colleagues endorse me for? My value proposition goes there. What am I working on, right? What is my personal growth? Networking and listening with purpose, right? I put that. Some people might say, you think you're perfect, and actually I don't. And then how you structure your time, it shows that you're balanced. So that helps people get to know you. So maybe you put on there you're running, you like to do treasure hunting, you like to do something else. It helps people make a personal connection with you and shows that you can be a well-rounded person, which is important in order to have a successful career, but also to be a successful leader. Again, I like to show this for your value prop, your elevator pitch. It's not rocket science, and I challenge anyone to call me. We can do yours in 5 minutes or less. Talked about the LinkedIn profile quite a bit. So this is a little earlier version, but just your things that matter, things above the fold matter. Your photo matters. So for me right now, I have my cartoon photo. That's just because that's my brand. Show off with your banner. These are really important, your LinkedIn hooks. So I change these often. CFO, CMO, COO get you in a lot of search results. I also want to convey what I do, deliver webinars personality, and I empower the organic deal close. So I suggest that you have your title in here, or if you want to be considered for treasurer, put treasurer in there. I like these little emojis. They used to get a lot of search attention. I don't know if that's worn off. I think it has. You want to have a good number of connections. It shows you're popular. And then your about section is really important. That to me, I chose something from one of my recommendations that really shows my value proposition. So I do it with professionalism, personality, humor, genuine kindness. That's who I am. Just go down your profile, just highlight things that you think are important. If you don't have the horsepower to put things on here you're not proud of, then just hide the sections. Your activity, it shows your brand strength, so it shows that you're engaged. you have a passion for learning, which is really important. So later in the session, Mike Richards and I will talk about this. Mike's been having conversations, obviously, for the last 20 years, but especially the past couple years. What's really sets the candidates apart from the treasurer positions are their strength in leadership, on collaboration, and passion for learning. It's not so much all the technical skills that we used to see, because treasurers and CFOs also are charged with impacting performance across the enterprise. You have to have soft skills to do that. You want to highlight your experience that matters, and you can turn on and off the details there. Of course, everyone wants to have a Purdue education. I'm just kidding, but we're going to win the tournament, and then your licenses and certifications. I'm leaning towards turning that off. I just think those are kind of going by the wayside, unless that's in your job qualifications. You have to have a CTP. Skills and endorsements, they're nice, but they're not all that valuable. LinkedIn tried to make a big deal about this, a tit for tat thing, and I just got tired of it. So I shared earlier, I'm endorsed for like 50 skills, and I doubt if I have 5. So I like to joke that I think I was endorsed for brain surgery and splitting the atom, and building a time machine and all those things that just got out of hand. However, I am proud to have an endorsement from B, who is an amazing treasury thought leader. So it's just not something that I think people look at all that often. Now, what I do think people look at, which is incredibly important to me, if I was looking myself to add to my team, this is what I would look at: recommendations. It's critical that you have a recommendation for someone you worked for. I'm showing just this page. John was my boss at Performative. Someone I worked with a little farther down, I have a few of those from folks at AFP, and then someone who worked for me. I've got plenty of those, and it's important to look at your balance. So I've been very fortunate to get 35 recommendations, and I've given 13. So I'm not just doing a tit for tat. So a recommendation from me means something, and I value each and every recommendation that I have. Have I asked for recommendations? You bet I have. Right? So a lot of people aren't just going to take time to write you a recommendation. Sometimes it's just something you need to ask for. Happy to help you do that. Most of the time, you can get a recommendation from, and you might have to nudge them a little bit. But if you look at the recommendations on people's profiles, and these are the things that I'm most proud of, not only to help me get a job, but when I show my kids, I said, Dad's not that bad after all, right? A few people like me. Things that show your passion for learning are important. You have accomplishments you can list. You have your interests, groups. They ruin groups, but anyway, still shows you're interested. And so ways to build your brand, especially with your peers, your peers, and also peers, and maybe some recruiters out there like Mike Richards. Speak at live events. We're coming back. You have an incredible amount of knowledge. And you should be willing to share that. If you reach out to an AFP regional association and tell them I'd like to speak on XYZ, if you're a practitioner, just about guarantee that you'll have an opportunity to speak. And you can also get opportunities to speak on podcasts if you're interested in helping build your professional brand by sharing your knowledge on webinars, podcasts, or live events. Please let me know. I'm happy to help you out. I'm actually involved in the AFP of Indiana, the president, so I would love to have you share your expertise on a webinar of ours. So when you speak on those, you should promote via LinkedIn and the podcast. And so podcasts, they can be incredibly powerful. And so if you're on a podcast, so I've been fortunate enough to be on a podcast with Strategic Treasurer. They have a great podcast. And so that really gives me credibility, brand recognition, and also a lot of other podcasts I've been on. I was on podcasts with Mike Richards, and now he's one of my partners, and I'm helping him build this practice in the U.S. So that just shows the value of that. So don't be afraid. You got to learn to toot your own horn, people. Everyone knows I'm an expert at that. So what about skills that matter? And so as you're sitting here looking at your skill set, right, what are the skills that I want to focus on? And what are the skills that I might want to look for my team? And so your skills that matter, I like to say, for you, right? And then what about your team, for your department? What are the skills we have? What are the skills we need? And how do we fill these gaps? And so some survey results. Myself, I partnered on a survey with HighRadius last year, and I did it the year before with APQC, doing it again this year. What are the skills that are important? Data is important, right? Data analytics, IT savvy is important. So technology is our friend, people. I love to see business partnering, relationship builders, social skills, spreadsheet software, blah. Sorry, we had to put it on there. Passion for learning. And so you should look at all these skills and see, do you have them? Do you need them? How important are they with your company? And so where you stand depends on where you sit. So certain skills are important, right, across any opportunity you have. But for your company, depending on your industry, depending on how mature you are in certain areas, and if you're in foreign countries, are you responsible for FX risk, other things, they might be more important to you. But I think a couple things that we see, I guess one thing that we really see is the importance of the soft skills, business partnering, social skills, passion for learning, and then written communication skills. And if I would have taken this survey when I was back in Treasury, probably when we used to play Pong for video games, there would have been none of these soft skills would have been on there. So important. Now let's take a little bit of a different swag on the skills that are important. These are my high level skills, and you can put specific skills below there and quantify those. Interpersonal skills, relationship building, talk about that all the time. Collaboration within and across your departments and outside your work. Effective communication, email, reports telling the story behind the numbers. Oral, your presentations. Also, I should have put effective virtual communication because of what we've all had to go through with COVID. We should have effective Zoom meeting communication. Also, impact performance. You need to be able to lead. Leadership, you need to be able to lead remotely as well as in person. That's different. Analytical abilities, problem solving. And so looking at your analytical abilities, how do you take the data, interpret the data, and really look at potential solutions, forward looking, right? And analytical to me in today's world in Treasury means understanding the why. So for many years at Treasury, we're just trying to get our hands around what happened. That took us all day. What happened? Well, why did it happen? I don't know. We're doing a cash forecast. Okay, what was our bank activity? No. Why did it happen, right? Why are we having inflows? Why are we having outflows? On the AP side, why are we having supplier issues? Why are we having customer issues? Guess what? You need to have visibility into that. You need to have technology, and then you need to be able to identify those trends and make recommendations and tweak the key factors that drive your departmental success. We talked about tech savvy, passion for learning, and then knowledge of relevant industries. It should be interesting to you. And I would say I started doing this a long time ago. I worked at Franklin Electric. I think I walked out of the doors there in like 2006, and I can still tell you every single relevant industry. I can tell you all the competitors. I can take a motor apart and put it back together. So that was important to me. So the more you know, the more opportunities you have. That's how I got into Treasury from product marketing. So it's hard to get an assessment tool on your skill set. One that I've found which I think can be useful for anyone is this Treasury Skills Wheel. I give you the hyperlink there. It was developed by Mike and the Treasury Recruitment Company. So the way that Mike likes to slice it is hard skills and soft skills. And hard skills are teachable skills that are probably easier to measure. And then the soft skills are the people skills, personality traits, and attitudes. And so if you're looking for ways to assess, develop, and train up, Mike is awesome at both. Me, I'm more of a soft skills person, so happy to have a conversation with you and share content that I have as well, but that's really where I've been investing. And then really the way that you look at it, it's almost like a bullseye where you have hard skill and soft skills and you rate yourself. If you have a team, rate your colleagues, and so you kind of get into the bullseye. Mike has a little bit different take on the outside, which are high level, and then below those, you would list specific skills. And so just trying to get you aware of that there is an assessment tool out there. There is a way to start. And so that's really the key. The first thing is knowledge that you need to do it, how you do it. And so again, just talking about engaging your team. We're in the middle of the Great Resignation. So what you really need to be doing is supporting the professional development of each and every team member, but you have to have a framework to do that. You have to have conversations with each team member. They have to know you have to know them, you have to have trust. Is that a big burden for you? But no, you're a manager, you should have been doing that the whole time. Now I know I probably didn't do it when I was a manager, but now we have the tools to do it. And now it's more important than ever to retain our talent. And that's a skill, right, that we can show now, right? I was a treasurer. I never lost a person on my team, in so many years. What about your network? Again, the scope, your colleagues within Treasury, beyond Treasury, API, your banks, your customers, suppliers, and your professional peers, especially in your industry, are incredibly important. Same job titles you want to have. And another way to look at it is your network, right? And then your network, it's the foundation. If one of these is weak, the whole thing's going to fall apart. But there's a lot of synergies here within your department, your colleagues, your bank tech partners, your customer suppliers, and your professional peers. And all of those are important things where I feel that people haven't paid enough attention in the past, which I don't think we've gotten any instruction, is your work colleagues in your department. And for me, where I was the weakest was bank and tech partners. I really worked on that. And then with Treasury, we need to think that we own the cash conversion cycle. So we need to look at customers and suppliers. And I think we've seen a lot of content, which is great, around your professional peers, but not really enough about how you build that brand. So we have taken a dive into that. And it's a little bit more challenging here with COVID, but I think events are coming back online finally. So that's always a good way to build your network of professional peers. And so how do you build your network a little bit? The strategy, right? I should have had these different. All right, who do you already know? Get your network list. All right, are those people you want to know and need to know in there? Okay. Who is it that I want to know that I don't know? Who do I need to know? So are those things I can take care of myself? Maybe I need to know this person. I haven't connected with them on LinkedIn. I can do that. And then who knows who you want to know, right? So sometimes it's a second degree connection. Who knows who you need to know? Those are important. So for me, if I was going to prioritize, I would say, who do I need to know? And think about that. You need to know certain people within your company, within your department. Think about it. Do you really know who you're working with? Let's make an investment on there. These people are important. Anyone that impacts your job success are people that I believe you need to know. What kind of relationships do you have? Who are the movers and shakers in the departments across my organization? Who are the movers and shakers in my professional network with my professional peers? You will see certain people in the world of Treasury. The practitioners are out there speaking all the time. Who do you need to know? Who are the leading consulting firms? It's a good idea to know Craig Jeffrey, right? It's a good idea to know Mike Richards. It's not a bad idea to know Ernie, and look at, what about Seth Marlowe? So those are people that can impact your career. So just giving you some questions to ask and really helping you ask the right questions. This goes across wherever in your network that you're at. Get to know people, let them get to know you, make that personal connection. Sometimes it takes a while. Understand the value of your relationship to people. Understand the value that you can offer to people. And so for me, I'm always trying to assess for my customers, who are you guys? Okay, what else can I do to be valuable to you? Am I giving you something that no one else is giving you? Am I presenting it in a different manner? How do I innovate? What topics do I need to cover? And then what's my perceived value versus my actual value? So I go out and I try things a lot. Do they always work out? No, but I'm trying to understand the value, and I'm trying to add to my value proposition to the relationship that I have with one of my people in my network. So everyone that attends my webinars, you're in my network, right? So what's the value of my relationship at work? I'm a treasurer. What's my value to the CFO? I would ask him, what can I do better, right? What's the value of my relationship to AP and AR if they don't report up to me? What's their relationship to me? Let's communicate those expectations and let them know what to expect from you. Expectations are really important with your business partners, with your banks, with your fintech providers, but also people you're collaborating with. So say you're doing a webinar and you have a couple speakers, let's communicate the expectations on both sides. Let them know what to expect you. People know what to expect from me. You don't know what to expect from me, which is pretty true, but I'm always coming from the right place. With your colleagues, a few specific things. Listen to learn and understand, right? Don't listen to respond. That's a big thing I still need to work on. Invest in the professional languages of your colleagues so you can talk in the sales leaders language, the HR leaders language. Maybe you need to learn the language of AR and AP. When you want to build relationships, ask people to tell you what their biggest work challenges are. Sorry, most people like to complain. I like to complain. No, seriously, ask them how you can help solve them. Be authentic, be honest, and to me, a big part of being authentic and honest is you should communicate bad news proactively, but have the solution ready, of course. But when you can get others to communicate bad news to you proactively, that's a magical moment, especially those of us who manage folks. I mean, just think about it. Do you ever feel comfortable telling your boss that you did something wrong? That's the kind of boss I want to be, right? You need to have the solution, but when people trust you, you know what's going on. You can mitigate issues, and you can help them solve their problems. And so that you have to have trust with your colleagues, and the good, the bad, the ugly, right? Business partners, again, I think expectations are important. You have to build trust and communicate bad news proactively to help build those connections and strengthen them. Ask your connections how you can help them. I often ask folks, and sometimes I am going to ask them for a favor, and I will ask, and then I always close with, as always, please let me know how I can help you out, but you have to mean it. Stay tuned to what your connections need. Pay attention on LinkedIn. Share relevant information with your connections, especially your peers. Maybe you're looking at a new TMS, maybe you're looking at cash forecasting or something. Let your networks know. When you reach out to someone, especially a peer, and you ask their advice, they're pretty open to that, especially if someone's spoken on a session about a topic. People love to say, hey, I love to hear, hey, I loved your session. I was wondering if you'd chat with me a little bit about XYZ. On LinkedIn, support your contributions, and then communicate how you can collaborate. And you're trying to sell something, or you're trying to get someone to collaborate. Even I don't do it 100% of the time, but I really try to communicate. If I'm going to reach out to someone, what's the value to them for connecting with me, and then what are my expectations of them? And sometimes if I'm trying to engage a new partner, I'll say I have 19,000 followers, and then I think they get that's my value and what I can do. But I also like to connect with thought leaders, and there's certain relationships you can't let come to a halt. And so there's certain relationships you need to make sure you touch base on. You need to put these in your calendar, and you need to make sure, because a lot of the best progress comes to timing. A lot of collaborative opportunities have for taken a while. The years, it just needs to be at the right time, but that's when the magic happens. Building it now, how do you fill your funnel and take advantage of organic opportunities as we get out of COVID, social events. And so to me, sometimes you have social events, people that you interact with, and then work comes up secondhand. And then when you see alignment there, then that means you should take it on LinkedIn. So my wife always cringes when we're at a social event and someone tells me they worked at a bank, because then I'm going to start talking about banks for 3 hours. And so she warns them. Professional conferences, LinkedIn, professional associations, especially the regional associations of organizations like the AFP, public speaking. You get a lot of credibility in public speaking. People know who you are. You have some credibility. They feel comfortable coming up to you. I mentioned speaking on podcasts, and then alumni networks. So if you went to university, I went to Purdue. They let me on the board of the Alumni Association, so that gave me access to 750,000 people. So let's talk about leadership, empowering your team. You need to let your team get to know you, right? Get to know your team. You got to have the right environment. You have to empower them with the right skills. And you need to really understand what each person needs and give it to them. So I've seen it more than one CFO study where their biggest priority to empowering growth is labor, right? Shouldn't say labor, people. And so CFOs have an appetite to invest. They know it's important. So understand what each person needs, ask them, but also there's going to be a gap between the perception and the reality of it. And so figure out how to give it to them. How do you train them up? Most times you can train them up at no cost other than your time and maybe a mentor's time on your team. And so this is one of my favorite graphics. This might be the 10th time I'm showing this today already. But this is what, if you want engagement, you have to support your team. get to know your folks, promote their personal growth. These can be other things, health, wellness, hobbies, and these can be things even as much as being more involved with your kids. If they want to go and watch the soccer game, if they want to go be involved with their kids more, let them do it, right? Good thing is today's world, we're being a little more flexible. When I was in corporate America, I was locked in the office, even though I was salaried. If I left 5 minutes early, it was like the Spanish Inquisition for me. Those days are gone. Professional growth, incredibly important. Ask people what they need, right? Give them opportunities. Set up a formal professional development plan with your folks, and don't make it painful. Show them the value that it is, right? Show them this is our department, this is our skill set, right? Where are you at? Okay, we think you're here. We want to get you here. This is the value of you getting here, not only for this job, but maybe another job. Of course, you want to be a good boss. Offer praise and is vested in employee success, but also don't be afraid to share constructive feedback and make sure your people feel informed. When I used to work at a publicly traded corporation, the CEO wanted to hide everything from the employees. I'm like, why are you doing that? People just feel disconnected. They don't understand how they're contributing to the mission, what the mission is, why they should be excited about working here. Hey, our 401k is going to go up. Look at this. I work for a great company. If you have pride in what your company does and how you do it, that's a big part of retention, right? You're proud of what you do. And in the session that we'll have about the Global Treasury Salary Survey, we'll share the top reasons why people are happy, right? And money, I think, is number 8. So digest that one for a few seconds. We want to have a positive environment. It doesn't mean there's not disruption, friction. It just means the toxic environment. You should formalize your value and ethics. For us in the corporate culture, way back at Franklin Electric, we used to have the key factors of success. And I used to be able to name those off to the CEO because he would walk up and down the hallway and he would ask you if you knew them. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can do this. Yeah, quality, availability, service, innovation, price. Imagine that. That was 20, 30 years ago, and I still know it. And I still know what they mean. So that means that company culture was instilled in me. Establish accountability with metrics to personal, department, and then show people the value that they're giving to your department and to your company, right? Make people feel valued, especially important. If someone's thinking about leaving, you just have to show them that you're important to you and why, and how you are vested in their success, not only what they're doing now, but down the road, and show them that they're important to the company culture. And I've been saying this forever. People argue with me. People are not irreplaceable. Everyone has a unique skill set. So in today's world, you'd like to think that because of this great resignation, but communicate to people, right? You are not irreplaceable. This is why we need you on our team, and this is why we need you to get better, right? I'm like Knute Rockne all of a sudden. All right. The right skills for your team. You need to identify the skills your team needs to deliver success, right? Look at the gaps, in your team currently have and need to meet and exceed your goals. Align on your goals with the CFO. Wouldn't that be a good thing? So you got to look at people. Who do I need to get on board, right, to make things happen, to get investment? Do I need to redeploy people? Maybe you engage new internal or external people, or maybe you have to hire. Technology, right? What technology do we need? So I can have all the skills that I have, but if my team is stuck doing all these manual tasks and they don't have visibility into the why, they're not going to be successful. What about processes, right? What are the policies and procedures we need to look at in order to unlock the skills that we've invested in to deliver on our value? And then I just want to briefly talk through a tool that I've become a GCologist, which means I can train organizations and help people. The reason I got involved with the GC Index was I kept hearing from CFOs and treasurers for the past 20 years. They don't really have a good sense of how to understand the dynamics of their team. And then what really, I wrote an article about it after I went to a CFO roundtable, probably about 7 or 8, maybe 10 years ago. But then I saw this documentary on the Briggs-Myers index, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. No wonder it doesn't work. And then they have the DISC profile, these things are too cumbersome. They're not wielding. They are more about fixing what's wrong with people instead of understanding what's right with people. So I came around the GC index. The CFO roundtable I went to, there was a CFO who shared with us how he had used the GC index to not only look at himself in the mirror, but also to use it to help manage his team dynamics. And so the GC index is all about maximizing your professional impact. So the original task of the psychologist was, hey, how do we find, what is a game changer? How do we find them? I want to have all game changers on my team. Well, what they came to find out was, you really don't want a whole bunch of game changers on your team because you won't get anything done, because this is the way that they lead and make the most impact. What they came to the conclusion was that everybody can be a game changer, right? And so they came up with these quadrants of where people might fall. This is where people make the most impact. So there's an assessment tool that we have. It shows where you naturally gravitate towards in making the most impact, and this helps you understand maybe, oh, I'm not really good at this. Oh, maybe this is where I want to give this to someone else because I don't have a passion for it. And it understands your behavior. A lot of folks I've done these for helps them understand their career, why they've made moves in their career, more control of your career. Why did you do things in the past, right? It's not going to change if you continue the same behavior. And then just these quadrants, the game changer, these are folks that have the ideas. They don't want to reinvent the wheel. They want to find something to replace the wheel. The strategist puts a box around all these amazing ideas that are out of the box. The implementer is really about getting it done, getting it out there, and the polisher makes it great. And the playmaker is the coach that's in the middle in terms of a project, right? Here's the game changer. Think about it. You have original ideas. The strategist helps make sense of those. The implementer makes them happen. And the polisher makes them brilliant. And the guy in the middle is what, I hate the word, but a servant leader, the person that builds consensus. He doesn't push people to what he wants. He helps all people work together and helps these people get along to come to a group decision. And so to me, it makes sense. There's a lot of ways to use the index. So not only for yourself, but also as you understand the other quadrants, it helps you think. So, oh, okay, well, I see now Mike's more of a polisher, so I might approach him in a little different way in a project. Oh, someone's a game changer, right? I gotta think game changer and think of what their levers are. So it helps you relate to people, but it also helps you see on your team, right? If I got all game changers, well, we're going to be in big trouble, right? Or if we have all polishers, we're not going to have any ideas about that. So what about me? Oh, you're so surprised that I'm a 10 game changer, right? Everyone's like, yeah, that's not surprising. But when I did a webinar on this, I asked my webinar attendees to tell me which of these categories would be the strongest, and I got a really good mix around here because they have seen me function fairly well in all these different categories, but it's really about how I make the greatest impact. And so, personal story, I worked at a company, Stampley, for a while, and I worked there for about 8 or 9 months, and then my boss was like, you know what, I don't think you're happy, and I wasn't really thrilled. It wasn't them, it wasn't me, it was just the big project we had, it just wasn't going, and it wasn't going to work. And so my boss said, you know what, you're not happy unless you're the CEO, you're doing your own thing. And then I got in this GC index and I said, that's me. I'm a game changer, right? I'm a consultant. I like to collaborate. I go too far in being a one-man band. That's how I operate. And so it helps you understand that. I see some other, the strategist, that's where I fall short. So, and that's where I know I need to look when I have all my great ideas. I need to bounce them off of people, right? So it shows me kind of areas, and I don't like these words. It's not pragmatism, obsession, right? I don't like the word obsession. I would say passion. And so it gives you a framework. And what I found in doing a lot of these reviews with treasury leaders, I just did a big project, which was actually with a marketing team, believe it or not. But it helps people relate to each other. And for the leaders, it gives you a thing that you can use. So I've talked to a lot of treasurers, and they're like, I can't use what HR gave me. It takes 2 days to explain it to me, and I can't use this with my team. They don't have time to understand it. It's just too wieldy. But this index or something along these lines is something that you can really use as a leader to become a better leader. What did I say? You need to understand your team. Well, this is a way to help you do that. Is it perfect? No. It's a tool, right? It's dangerous if used in the wrong way, but a lot of times it helps you ask the right questions, change your mindset. And I can tell you, I did that team project with the marketing people, and they all loved it. They were screaming for more, and I'm going to probably take that across the entire organization. And some people do these when they're hiring people. So there might be someone they're looking for. They know what their team is, and then they're like, okay, they're looking for someone. Whoa, we don't need a game changer. What we really need is an implementer. And so they will use this to vet candidates as well. So what about right sizing technology? Obviously important in today's world. These are what I think are the goals of technology you should look at as a leader. Help mitigate time on non-value-add activities. You should be keeping track of how much time is spent by your employees on all activities, so you can see how much time is in essence being wasted or not on strategic activities, and mitigate that. It should facilitate collaboration within and beyond company walls. See, it's so important. And two different things. One's communication, one's collaboration. You can't have collaboration without communication. It needs to deliver 360 visibility into areas that matter. So all the dimensions of a relationship with your customer, what's the why, right? It empowers strategic agility, allows you to react. It needs to support your business growth. It should empower data-driven decision-making, and it delivers visibility, right, and facilitates management of risk exposures, and then impacts key levers of success to meet and exceed goals. Wow, that's a big ask. Well, good, you should have a big ask. How many times do we get to invest in technology? Companies are still investing in technology. You should look at a solution that does all of these things. They are cost effective. If you have a cloud-based solution that's not doing this, look for a better one, right? There's a lot of options out there, and it's no longer the 2-month implementation time. So that's the technology you should want as a leader. So just to put it in our treasury terms, this is the value in leveraging technology to own your cash conversion cycle. What does it do? If you take control of how and when you make payments and the timing, you mitigate invoice processing costs, right? If you don't work in AP, the amount of time spent resolving supplier issues and disputes is incredible. Some people spend days on it. A lot of times folks aren't capturing discounts and dynamic discounting opportunities. Impacts the productivity of employees processing invoices. What about the people who are approving the invoices? Incredible. Payment processing costs. If you look at optimizing how you're paying, probably want to move people off of checks, move them to ACH. Maybe you can get a rebate program. It improves working capital management, right? Helps deliver predictability into our accounts payable. For me as a treasury manager, I would have loved this. I got smacked a couple of times just because I got smacked with things I didn't know about. And then the productivity of people that are approving and affecting the payments, and then accounts receivable done right on the same side of it, mitigates bad debt write-offs, mitigates time on wasted activity, improves productivity, gives you your cash, right? Waste time internally and silos, manual processing costs, cash application costs. So there's so much value. It's so on the surface, it's pretty easy to make the business case for taking more ownership of your cash conversion cycle. And then especially as we start to see these supply chain issues, especially on the payable side, I did a webinar last week about the value of that and some innovative tools that we're seeing from companies such as Levantor to extend your payables by getting access to a group of banks to help you. What about your success mindset? Dr. Phil, so please don't log off just because I'm getting soft on you. This is the mindset. And this comes from validation of talking to more people than ever wanted to talk to me. Success is never owned, it's rented. You got to want to pay the rent every day. So this is my mindset, to keep it simple. I give this presentation a lot at other organizations beyond Treasury. I share this with my kids. I tell my kids, I tell the kids I coach, live, listen, learn, fail and fall forward and repeat. Life, this took me a long time. My wife helped me understand this. Life is about the journey. You don't control your journey. You do control who you share the journey with and how you react to the obstacles and the detours you'll encounter on your journey. So enjoy the journey, learn to accept what you can't and manage what you can. For example, I used this great new software this morning for this conference, and it didn't work. Well, what am I going to do about it? Right? Am I going to get upset and stop doing the conference and cancel it, go have a temper tantrum? No, I'm just going to move along, learn from it, right? React to the obstacles, right? And hope that the people that are invested in learning more today are going to just come for the content. What about learn? This is what I hear often from Mike about jobs. Learning is not a chore, it's a way of life. I tell my kids this. If you don't learn something every day, why are you waking up in the morning? If you were perfect, right, you wouldn't have a reason to exist. Fall forward. This is a big motto of mine. Life and failure is where you learn life's most important lessons. If you never fail and you've never, sorry for my language, sucked at anything, then you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Tell my kids this all the time. Every time I go to a college, I tell people this: be willing to fail, fall forward, right? Which means to learn from it, move forward. And someone that's a boss or someone that's going to judge you on making a mistake, for being a human being, for making, just don't repeat. Just do your best not to repeat your mistakes, and then repeat. You will do well to live, learn, and fall forward every day. Every day. Success is a journey, it's not a destination. Again, success is never owned, it is rented. The rent is due every single day. And I'm going to go ahead and give you some of your time back. Maybe you can go out and grab yourself lunch. I know we've been fast and furious here. I sincerely appreciate you attending the session. I appreciate your support of this event, and I appreciate you taking some time with me on St. Patrick's Day. And even though the NCAA tournament games have started, I'm going to try and give you guys some score updates later on. So thank you so much. I hope you can join us for sessions this afternoon.